Okay, let's go ahead and bring the July 26, 2023 regular board meeting of the Big Bear Area Regional Wastewater Agency to order. Before we move on tonight, if we could just all stand and I'm sure everybody's aware, but if you're not aware, you know, we lost one of our board members last night, Ron Green, kind of shocked, still kind of processing that. So anyway, I thought we'd do, you know, 30 seconds of silence for him before we move on to the meeting tonight. Thank you. Order.
If all please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Public forum, public testimony is permitted at this time only on consent calendar items and other matters not listed on the posted agenda, but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the agency. State law prohibits the agency from taking action on any items not listed on the posted agenda. Public comment on items listed on the posted agenda will be taken at the time each item is called for discussion. Anybody from the audience wishing to speak tonight? I don't see anyone. Moving on, presentation introduction.
We have none.
You have one.
Oh, I think our chamber of commerce outstanding employee Bridgette Burton, and she just walked right past you. Bridgette.
Oh, well, yeah. So, thanks, Bert. This is always helpful. So, yeah, we actually were informed by the Chamber of Commerce. We just submitted Bridgette Burton for outstanding employee to the Chamber of Commerce, and she was accepted, or I think she was accepted. We actually we couldn't attend the meeting at the time, so they actually hand delivered it, which was really nice to Bridgette, and so we took a picture, and I think Pam put it in the
Nowhere yet.
nowhere yet. She hasn't put it in anywhere yet, but they did take a picture, and I think it's going to end up in one of their newsletters.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Very well deserved.
There's actually a second one we did submit to CSDA. And she also got selected as the Employee of the Year
Staff member of the year.
Staff, wow.
Wow.
For the state.
It
So
doesn't get announced until next month.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll save our congratulations.
yeah, so-
Okay.
but yeah, next month.
Next month.
Yeah, and next month we'll be going up to Monterey.
Oh, is that where the conference is at?
That's where the conference is at, and so she'll be presented with a plaque.
Oh, they do a dozen conferences in that same, is that the same hotel?
Yeah, what's it?
It's at the
State has
conference.
Patola? What's?
Because they like.
Yeah, state has a contractor, because I did that on contractor.
Yeah,
Contract, I don't know
17
how many conferences. It's nice.
Yeah.
It is very nice.
Yeah,
It's like a
so-
little town.
Well, so we'll be traveling up there
For you.
to see her get her award.
Great. We'll take pictures of that too, please.
We will.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, item number 6, information committee reports, general manager's report.
So the only thing I wanted to point out, for those of you that weren't in attendance to the pilot, open house, was that we had 244 people attend. 205 had tacos, which is good out of the 244. And I think it was very well attended by both different board members, the city council members, We had some elected officials. We had a representative from Commonwealthies. We had Senator Choabo, which was great. I had met her in the past, so that was a great opportunity. And then we had Assemblyman Lackey. And so that was great opportunity to meet all of them, and they expressed their support towards the project, which I think is really important, obviously, overall. I think we had a lot of the community come out to the project and ask a lot of very, very, intelligent questions with regard to the project. A few a little surprising and a few not so surprising. So I think overall, most of it had to do, when is the project moving forward, and how is this the size of is this the actual project, or is this a demonstration? So they were it was a little bit confusing then, but again, we'll do the open house, and that will be a little bit different, obviously, quite bigger scale than what we had out there. But overall, I think it went well, and we were very happy with the attendance, and I think we made another effort to get out there into the public and let them know that we have a project coming, and we're on the move. So. And other than that, I don't have anything else to report out specifically, but if there's any questions about the general manager report, I'd be happy to discuss it.
Just one, I did attend the open house, it was very, very well done, thank you very much. What were the concerns? You said surprising comments. Just was there a theme to anybody's concerns or questions?
Real theme. I had one person asking about PFAS, which is basically Teflon. I had one person asking about that, and then pharmaceuticals, and so we had let them know about the advanced oxidation piece of the project. But no real overall concerns about it. Not even, when they asked me about the cost, they were not surprised about the cost. They were not surprised about what they were going to be seeing on their their bills coming forward, on their tax roll coming forward. So overall, I thought it was well received. There wasn't very many concerning issues.
Well, again, really well organized, really well done, and I appreciate all your work to it.
Over Walsh, have any questions? Great.
When you talk about preliminary engineering, it says that consists of 4 processes. So I take it UV and advanced oxidation together are considered processes?
So yeah, UV and advanced oxidation, in that process, you inject the UV prior, you inject the advanced oxidation. So in this case, it was peroxide prior to the UV, because the UV excites the peroxide molecule to break apart chemical bonds. So that's why you inject it prior to the UV light. So it is considered one process, and that's why, but that's what it's intended to do.
I was just getting more head count and.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And then you said you will secure a .gov domain.
I will secure what?
A .gov domain.
Yes.
It doesn't cost anything to do to secure our website for the .gov domain, but it is kind of a long process. John Green actually signed our letter about 2 months ago, and we're still trying to secure it through that federal process.
Okay, but this isn't in concrete yet.
For special districts, the requirement has been waived in the state, but it hasn't been waived federally yet. So we want to secure that .gov domain so that nobody else can get it. It is very long, and if we have to do it, it will be expensive for us to change all of our email addresses and our website and all of those directories that go to that domain.
We would rather not.
We would rather not.
We're just taking the advanced approach precaution to make sure that if we do have to do it, we have the domain secured.
Okay, thank you.
Dave, just one real quick question.
Sure.
Draft EIR is, it says summer, we're looking next couple of weeks.
In October is,
Okay,
I think that's where we're gonna get our first look at the draft EIRs in October.
okay.
That's the schedule there.
I'm looking forward to taking a look at.
Yeah,
We didn't find out until yesterday.
yeah, we just got that update from, the consultant.
Okay. Moving on, Bear Valley Basin Rainwater Sustainability Agency.
We had a meeting in June.
Yeah, so there was a meeting in June, not much happened, we adopted a budget, right? That was pretty much the only thing that took place during that meeting, is that we adopted a budget. There was no reorganization, I don't think anybody moved chairs or anything like that, but that was pretty much it that took place that meeting.
Yeah, I was there. I mean, I guess I'm the new chair and being,
Yeah,
and there's, I think we have another meeting in August.
August, I think it's like 12, I think.
Yeah, and it's my understanding that basically, other than approving the budget, I guess we just approve consulting services every year to continue on with updating the report, the sustainability.
Yeah, that groundwater sustainability report is updated on an annual basis.
Right.
The first year was about 40,000, and then from here on out, it's quite a bit less to update.
But I did ask at the time, I asked Reggie Lamson what the responsibilities of now that the groundwater sustainability report was done and approved, and basically that's where we're at until something changes, from my understanding. So-
Yeah, because we don't, we're adjudicated basin, but we don't have a requirement to do anything because we're in that range. We're so small that we're in that range where we don't really have to, we didn't technically even have to do the report, but we had already gotten a grant to move forward with the grant, and the report was already developed for the groundwater sustainability plan. Make sense?
Yeah.
So it was not known at the time when we applied for the grant and moved forward.
Okay, moving on with the consent calendar, all matters listed on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion at the appropriate time. There will be no separate discussion of these items, but detailed discussion is necessary. Any kind of board member may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. Do any of the board members wish to remove anything from the consent calendar? In the comments, can we have a motion to approve? So moved. Second. Discussion, seeing none. Roll call on this, or just, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Old business, non-new business. 10A.
10A.
Appropriate 50,000 for the force main investigation from the contingency fund.
So as the board is aware, we had a few leaks over really over the springtime. And to investigate the integrity of that the force main coming from the city, we needed an access point. And so what we're proposing to do is basically develop an access point by putting in a T into that location. That T will be put in, and then we'll be able to access the line now and in the future. Really now, so we can go 1,600 feet in both directions. So either direction from the T to investigate the integrity of the line itself, and to determine if there's additional repair needed. I would suspect, being the fact that that location is the high point in the line, there might be some deterioration due to H2S. And so we'll be kind of confirming what we suspect, and then we'll be making a recommendation to the board on exactly what to do with that line. Most likely it'll be a lining that we recommend in there, but we haven't. We're working with a consulting team to determine exactly what line, what type of lining to put in there. So. So at this point, we are looking for the board to appropriate $50,000 towards putting in the T and then, and putting the T and the, video investigation, of the line.
All right, thank you, David. Any questions, comments from board members?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Walsh?
Who owns the line?
Barlow owns the line.
So at some point it was given to Barlow by the city?
We bonded for this line in the 70s, 1974, I think it was, and we bonded for this line and we put it in.
So it never belonged to the city?
Never belonged to the city.
Okay. But you're seeking to see if they will share a portion of the cost, I noticed.
No. No, I mean, the city will bear some of the cost, you know, in their rate structure if we move forward with additional repairs. But we're not seeking for them to share the cost in, for, the investigation or the repair at this point. It's Barlow's line.
I thought I read in the minutes somewhere that that was had been discussed about seeing if the city would share some portion of it. I'll go back and find it.
The city had a slip lining project, and that was the discussion about sharing the cost for the slip lining. I think, Chair
Yeah,
Green
we
was
should
brought that up.
Separate from this?
Yes, so they had a slip lining project. And the suggestion was made that we might be able to piggyback on their existing contract with them.
Since the contractor's already here.
Since the contract was already here. Okay, I'm sorry.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, wait.
Any other questions, comments from board members? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve, items 1 through 3, if we can take them all at once.
I'll second that. Any discussion on the motion, seeing none? Yeah, well, can we have a vote on this? Roll call, please.
Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Moat. Aye. And Director Walsh.
Aye.
Moving on, 10B, resolution number R 13-2023. The resolution of the governing board of the Victaulic Area Regional Wastewater Agency making certain findings and authorizing award of a sole source contract for the purchase of the Victaulic piping for the headers and check valves project pursuant to public contract code section 34.
So this item, replaces the main RAS header as anticipated for some time. Due to the complexity of this, taking this line down, we have to take the clarifiers down. We would feel more comfortable having all the equipment on site beforehand. So the existing material was originally made by Victaulic, and we would like to stay with the same manufacturer as it's likely to happen in phases. So we'll likely have to phase in putting different sections of the line itself, so we can keep some of it up and running. So we're recommending purchasing the new equipment from the original manufacturer, and hence why it is a sole source contract for the material. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from board members? Walsh.
Did I hear brass or bronze mentioned?
Brass or bronze? No.
So we're not gonna run into supply chain issues?
We are not gonna, I mean, my understanding is hopefully, if everything runs right, we are probably somewhere around 3 months lead time on the equipment. On the manufacturing of the equipment, but no, this is a steel pipe line.
Thank you.
I saw the comment about BBK, so we are making firm that we're within the purchasing policy to operate this way.
That's right.
Correct. That was it.
I just have one quick question, Dave. It says it's proprietary system, Blanche Pipe, so basically, do they have this? Is that kind of like a monopoly in their sense, once it's installed by them, we're kind of locked into them for?
I mean, we could switch all the piping, but because of the way we want to phase our project in, so we want to be able to take it out in sections. Just because, you know, we can't have our system down for very long, taking the clarifiers down is a big process and a big headache for that man there. It is kind of that way. So if you look up in that is the Victaulic big up there, it's not a flange, so it's a different type of a flange, and it's a pretty common flange used and made by this company. This is a large company, and they've been doing this for years. And it's proprietary, and we don't see any reason to change it because it's lasted 50 years and it's done a good job for us.
Any other questions, comments from board members? All right, seeing none, can we have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, a roll call, please.
Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Vogt,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
10C, organizational structure and classification plan, appropriate $33,007 for reclassification of the senior management analyst board secretary to the administrative services manager board secretary for the contingency fund pay schedule.
So I'm bringing this item forward. We were recently informed, both by our consultant and the attorney, that doing a design build option for the Reclassification project was basically prohibited by federal law right now as it stands. Given the fact that we have quite a few dollars in coming from the federal, we are not able to use that process. So we're going to have to go to a traditional design bid build process, which obviously takes a lot more attention and time on my part mostly. It's also going to take a little bit more from John as well, and it's more labor intensive overall for our staff in general. That being said, some of the more administrative duties that fall underneath me, signing timesheets, looking at some of the more typical billing, I am suggesting that we pass that on to somebody else, as most of my time will be kind of geared towards the Reclassification project. It's a very large project, and so my time and attention will be pushed towards that project. And so with that, I am looking to upgrade my current position with that availability to have the authority to do that. That's why I'm suggesting the upgrade in the position. The other thing in the future, you've been provided a organizational chart. It's really only for informational. You can see that we'll be looking at an administrative assistant and accounting tech, and exactly how that's going to look moving forward is still under discussion. But we will be looking at additional assistance, again, administratively, moving forward as well. Likely in the next fiscal year, we'll be making a recommendation for additional staffing for us administratively. And again, grant administration is going to become a big issue, keeping all the grants straight. We anticipate right now we have about 17 million in grants, and we anticipate getting up to that 25 range in the very near future. And we know grant administration is going to become more burdensome as the project moves forward. So that's why we're talking about what exactly we would need when it comes to the admin assistant and accounting technician moving forward. So this is kind of a step process when it comes to this project. Design is intended to start before the end of the year. So I am preparing for that whole process as we start moving forward. So that is my recommendation, and There's an entire staff report, and job descriptions included in your packet, with a, full description, and then the, fiscal impact is also included, in the staff report. And, available for any questions that you have.
Any comments, questions from board members? Walsh.
Okay, when you say fiscal year 2024. Is that 25, 24.5 or 23, 24?
No, that is this fiscal year. That's the impact for this fiscal year.
So this is an immediate,
This is an immediate impact moving forward until June 30th. Yes,
because I thought in the discussions, we were looking at like a year out or 2 years out.
no, not for this position. That would be for the other positions that we were talking about. This is the moving this position right away.
Thank you.
I think it was the script we were talking about for the next year or so.
Grant admin has pretty much already started, hasn't it?
We have started some of it, but remember, we only have been dealing with the state grant part of this. Now we're into the federal part of it, because we just got the final approval. And so we'll be submitting for grant reimbursement on a federal level, which is a whole nother level.
Okay, yep. I remember it's a lot of work to maintain, not to just go after them, but to actually administrate them, manage them. So,
And we will be audited for sure. There's just no doubt about that. And so keeping separate records for as we submit bills and backup material. And so we'll be having there'll be a whole nother cabinet for just for those audits. And I've been through this quite a few times at the city with those federal grants, and it's a whole nother level.
I remember we talked something about this kind of structure maybe a year when I first joined the board or so. So I'm really glad you've actually brought it to us and you can take some of that workload off of your desk, because I know it's getting, I don't want to say stressful, but words in your mouth, but it's a lot to maintain this type of project. So thank you. Just impact to the budget overall. Obviously, we have the money in the funds. Any negative impact you can see?
No, I mean, obviously, there's gonna be impact every year, but we were just showing the first year impact, and we'll bring the total salaries and benefits package each year.
Okay. And George looks great. So thanks for taking that feedback into account. Sorry for the microphone.
Board member here, any questions? Comments? No, good, thank you. Yeah. I did want to chime in on what board member Mo said about administrating grants. I've done a SCAG grant, a Caltrans grant, community development block grant. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different computer system, a way to enter the information. If you get it right the first time, it's a miracle, because it usually gets kicked back again 2 or 3 times. And those grants that I was administrating were in the $200,000 to $500,000 range. And I can't imagine what the feds are going to make you guys go through on their block grants, not there. And it was $25,000. You know, just keep them happy.
It actually, like, at this point, under $1 million does not make any economic sense for us to even accept a grant under $1 million. It sounds really, really bad, but that's the truth.
Yeah. And when did we start gearing up for additional employees for the facility?
Additional what?
Well, at what point, I mean, we're gonna be hiring more employees for the.
Yeah, so that
Start gearing up for that.
That won't come until the project is more near finish. You know, the only time that would change is if John felt like bringing somebody on board ahead of that, like a trainee or something like that, that he wanted to bring on board ahead of that. That would be the only time that might change things. But at this point, we're not anticipating bringing on additional staffing, bar as operational staff. Probably more towards when the project, we know that the project is, probably a year out, maybe 2 max.
So basically, all this is gonna fall on your shoulders as far as getting this constructed and.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I mean, you're looking at the team right here, because, John has a lot of expertise when it comes to this these kind of projects, so he'll have that. Bridgette has a lot of expertise in grant administration and project administration. I've run large projects, not this size, but large projects, and then of course, there's always the financial aspect of a project like this and grant administration, and we have loan applications and loan documents to go through, and then, we'll be hiring more staff, so she'll be busy.
Just
I'll let
already,
you know, Jim, my largest project that I oversaw for construction was $305 million. A tunnel, huge pump station, so yeah. Not my first rodeo, we got it.
all right.
I'm glad he has that much confidence.
I see Sonia rubbing her forehead, so apparently. He's like, oh, yeah. I can see this started. Okay, any other comments, questions?
Does it make any sense to bring that an assistant county tech to us sooner rather than later, rather than wait a whole year to start getting experience into their belt?
One of the things that Christine and I were talking about is, when's the right time? And we don't want to pull the trigger too fast, because obviously we're just paying somebody then, to get up to speed, but again, we don't want to do it too fast. And then, what level of personnel we're looking for. Ultimately, that needs to be a discussion, because there is, we are taking an agency and doubling our budget. So with that in mind, some of the work gets doubled. And some of it, and so we want to make sure that we choose wisely when we're picking the staff, the title, the level of person. We want to make sure that we know having, somebody, an admin assistant to help with making copies, taking some of that those day-to-day administrative tasks off Bridgette's plate, making copies and, running mail and doing, doing that kind of stuff. We know that we want to take that off her plate, but we also know that making the right choice for the finance position is really important. So we're just kind of, assessing overall what we might need.
I know we were joking about the senator having extra monies, but you never know, we can get some more grants and such too. So,
I'd be willing, over $1 million, I'd be willing to accept it.
thanks.
Yes.
Any comments, Mr. Walsh?
I guess the shortest version would be, what if the project, which as I understand it, is still not a sure thing? What if that falls through? What does this do to this position?
Okay, so just to give you a status on the project, there is no fall through now. The project is moving forward, period. So we're not waiting for anything else.
We have signed agreements with Bear Mountain, with NWD, with, I don't know, Army Corps of Engineers or the fishing game.
As far as additional support agreements for financial support from the other partnering agencies, we do not have those in place. We have CSD and NDWP, basically an MOU with those two, a letter of intent with those two agencies. Bear Mountain has been spoken to. MWD, I feel confident that they support the project. I don't know if financially support the project, but support the project. We'll see, you know, what kind of money they're willing to put forward going forward. We don't need their financial support or DWP, CSDs, or MWDs, or Bear Mountains until we get to the project, until the project gets to operations.
Exactly.
So
And if,
we will start to see those agreements coming forward. You will see some new ones coming forward shortly to the board. But those other ones are still to be negotiated.
but the whole system depends on first the water getting into the lake.
And
We don't have a signed agreement, do we? That says they'll accept it, whether it's even allowed.
we have, I think we have an MOU with regard to that. I'd have to double check, but I think we have an MOU with regard to that. But again, I can definitely move forward with getting that piece. I was looking for the financial support more than anything, but I don't think it's ever been in question whether they would accept the water. It's always been a question whether they would financially support the project.
Well, I
That's
understood that we were still having problems with whether the water, no matter how clean it is, was acceptable to either Fish and Game or Army Corps, whichever one.
Regional board is and so hence why we're doing the piloting, and that pilot information will then.
It's not yet done, right? You haven't shipped the stuff to Israel.
I have not shipped the stuff to Israel, but the shipping the stuff to Israel isn't a concern for the regional board. That is only a concern for us. That's brine
We were doing
mineralization,
that process because they wanted it.
not the brine mineralization. The brine mineralization is really because we're trying to recapture all the water we can out of the project because of the limited space that we have for an evaporation pond.
So the cosmetics and the personal care and all that is in the other processes.
Yes, and those are all of those processes are, you know, well developed.
Happy campers.
Yeah, those are well developed and nothing we have in our system is anything new for that process, for this process.
And then once the water's in the lake, we are relying on the ski slopes to use their lines to pump it to the top. We don't have a signed agreement for that.
We are not, that is not a part of, part of Barwa's responsibility. That is DWP and CSD's responsibility to negotiate, to utilize that line. And that is underway. Because remember, we are a wastewater facility. This is just a different method of disposal of our wastewater.
And then there was the line to get it from the top of the ski slope over to San Canyon, which has to be built, right?
And that's also a responsibility of DWP and CSD to construct. And they both have been informed about that.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, the CSD isn't aware of that.
Well, the CSD GM is definitely aware of that.
That it was CSD's and DWP's responsibility to get those agreements.
Very much so.
Interesting. Thank you.
I think his question though was that what happens to this position should something,
Oh,
everything's going forward. I just want to make sure that you got your question answered.
yeah, so, I mean,
Maybe you're
this
just
position,
bigger.
obviously, you know, it's an upgrade in this position. If you know, the big bang came and we no longer had a project, which at this point, you know, backing away from what we have on the table is really not an option at this point, unless, like I said, the big bang happens. Really nothing would happen with this position. Obviously, it would get an upgrade and it would still continue to get upgraded. It would just cost the agency more money. And we would just not backfill some of those other positions. And so this would be the cost to this, to the agency moving forward. Obviously, there's, you know, room moving forward.
And I think we'd still have the state requirements to possibly build a new facility as it is. So we always have work for this role.
This role is still going to come, I mean, there is still going to be a project, whether it's this project or one like it, there is still a project going to happen, period. And still a role, I mean, a continued role as it, you know.
Yeah, that was your original question, I think.
Well, the issue, yes, would there be a need for the position? And if not, then what happens to that employee who gets bumped up?
The employee, nothing happens to the employee would continue to operate and we just wouldn't backfill some of those other positions and, you know, to save some of the cost of that, but really nothing would happen with the employee.
Any other comments, questions? David, just, yeah, I look at this also as more like a, you know, succession plan and long-term planning for the agency. Obviously, people move on, retire, and other things happen. So, I mean, you have to, you know, we went to the retirement party today where somebody with 37 plus years retired
And change, right?
you know, and change, and we just, you know, the city lost, you know, all of it. So it's important that we carry that on, and you transfer on your information onto these people. Carry, you know, they're dedicated to the agency, you're willing to stay here and have to, you know, help us move forward. Because obviously we're just not here forever, and no,
And that happens.
you know, so, yeah, I don't see any issues with this. I think it's probably a smart move, and I also, you know, things change. You know, job duties change, responsibilities change, you know, if they got to the point the project fell apart, then maybe we don't fill a position in that, you know, administrative services managers, those responsibilities. Yeah, changed job description in our, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned about leaving somebody out to dry.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
I'll make a motion to approve, as recommended, all recommendations.
Second. Discussion.
Oh, sorry.
The questions being presented by Larry. What are the odds of getting this project done? What are the percentage?
Right now, we are I would say we were 90%.
Okay. And it's just missing, I mean, the agreement with UVP and CSD for a pipeline that's to their benefit to pump water to them. So why would they not put the pipe in?
They would put the pipe in, and I've been assured by both GMs that was not gonna be an issue.
Right, exactly. And is there any issue with putting the water in the lake?
Not to my knowledge.
All right, well, I don't see any roadblocks moving forward with the project. And if you've been here and actually seen the demonstration that was done with purification of the water, you get a pretty good idea. This project is full steam ahead. It is financed 100%.
The application for Whitfield loan is in their hands as we speak.
Okay.
So
And
we'll have loan agreements probably by the end of the year.
the money available to pay for those loans is in place.
Yes, it is.
Will be.
So that there's no roadblock in the way.
No, there is no roadblock.
Okay, there's agreement, there's some things that still need to be tied together. But it's to their benefit, these organizations, their benefit, to have an agreement.
Yeah, as in like all projects like this, just, I mean, you know, whether it's Orange County, Oceanside, Highland, all projects like this are, you know, they go through these different phases like this, and they get to a phase where we are gonna start design, that's where we're gonna be. So we will be in a design phase where we'll be awarding a design contract and probably in that $9 to $10 million range by the end of the year. And so this is a very much a normal process for this project, and we are here where this project, I mean, this project is a go, and I mean, quite literally, we have $5 million on the table in this project as we speak.
Okay, so it's just smart planning ahead.
That's all we're doing is planning ahead.
Right. And like any organization, we can bob and weave as necessary, but it appears that we don't need to bob and weave.
We've been bobbing and weaving for 6 years, and
What I mean,
yeah.
what I mean by that is if it's necessary to change the.
Change course.
Structure
Yeah,
of the employee structure here, the organizational chart.
we can do
How
that.
hard is that to do?
Stroke of a pen.
That's it, okay.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the table. We have a second? Second. Any discussion on that motion? Now roll call, please.
Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
All right.
Director Moat,
Aye.
and Director Walsh.
No.
All right, motion carries. Moving on to item 10D, appointment of governing board chair and vice chair. I'm a little, at this point, I'm a little hesitant to do much of anything until things kind of settle down. I don't know if the other board members feel like,
I agree with that.
I agree.
could we table this, table the next meeting?
Sure.
Do you want a motion for that?
Do we need-
So motion, do you want to wait for the August or do you want to do September?
I guess I'll defer to Larry. CSD going to, you don't know what CSD is going to do, or do you appoint or?
Dropped in our lap just.
Well,
When's your next
we
meeting?
could do talk August, if we have to, again, we'll just, we'll just move it on.
You meet once.
I mean, I'm, I probably in pro tem now. So.
So
I'll make a motion to table it to the regular September. That gives us a little bit of time.
September.
Is that fine?
That you would do September then?
Yeah, it gives, that way.
Yeah, that was fine, that's fine. with me.
To September?
Yeah,
Okay,
In the interim, the vice chair will fill in the role of.
absolutely, yeah, and that's what the positions when you like choose for, so. General manager comments, like, I don't know whether, just.
Okay, we need roll call now.
Director Herrick,
Right.
Vice Chair Miller, Director Moat,
Aye.
and Director Walsh.
Aye.
Item 11, comments, announcements, and general manager comments,
I have none.
governing board member comments. Yeah, you go ahead.
Just a comment about John Green. But the announcement this one is a little shocking. But I just have to say a few things about him. He's one of the most pleasurable board members I have ever worked with. Very thoughtful and level-headed in his arguments and how he lays out his thoughts. And he could easily sway me one direction or depending on what the issue was. And I will sorely miss him on this board and just see him around town.
I really appreciate that because I feel the same way. He will be sadly missed.
Yeah, I don't think I got anything more to that, right? Just kind of trying to process all this, all of a sudden, you know. And just, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be on it. And watching his Facebook posts and then trips to the league and things. And I look at all the moving and tiring, it's just, I don't know, get there and it's scary, I guess. Any other comments, questions from board members? All right, we'll adjourn this meeting in honor of John Green.
Thank you.
Thank you.